We're live. We're live. Hi, everybody. We are here with Roger Clark, the voice and motion capture of Arthur Morgan in Red Dead Redemption 2.
I'm so happy to be here, though. Thank you for inviting me, Carolina. It's
Amazing.
good to see you again.
Yeah. We haven't seen each other in a while.
I think, was Atlanta the first time we were face-to-face? The last time we were face-to-face, was it at MomoCon?
I think so. You know, I was going to say Hawaii, but I realized that was Ben. Ben Davis was there, but you were not.
I didn't get to Hawaii, no.
Well, you know, you're a busy man who's always doing a bunch of amazing work, so that explains it. They keep quoting the boy. You always, I guess you're always saying boy. What's up, boy? What do you say?
Boy. Yeah. 2018 was the year of the boy, because God of War too. One of his catchphrases was "boy" too. Chris Judge.
Man.
Yeah, he did obviously he did a fantastic job on Kratos. But yeah, Arthur and Kratos say "boy" a lot.
So let's talk about Red Dead Redemption 2. You are an amazing theater actor who has done a slew of theater. You do awesome accents, and then this is the first video game that you worked on.
Not until no, it wasn't.
Okay.
I had done a little bit before, but nothing like Red Dead. You know, I worked on a few. I was doing mocap back in like 07, 08 is when I first started.
With Rockstar or another thing?
No, it was with different studios. I started working for a studio called EDOS in Britain because I used to work out of London, and that's when I first started doing voice acting and motion capture for gaming. Was out of London.
Okay, but I guess the big one was...
That was the big one, yeah. That was, you can't really get much bigger than the lead in a Rockstar Games.
And you spent years doing this.
5 years, yeah.
Dude, that's insane to me. That's
Isn't
crazy.
It? Yeah, you don't get off. There's not many contracts 5 years long. I mean, security for an actor is unheard of. 5 years. I had children. I mean, my children were born. People got married. It was like half a decade.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you would work like 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or there was like breaks, or were you on set every freaking day?
You got it. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. It didn't start off quite that intensely. 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. But in the off weeks, we would often go into the booth and we might do a bit of VO.
Yeah.
Like AGR and stuff. But 2 weeks of performance capture, 12, 14-hour days. And then a few days on the off weeks, we would do a bit in the booth.
And had they told you like this is going to be an incredibly long process?
Yeah, they didn't at first. I knew it was a largish role, and well, this is the thing. Like, so when I first showed up, I didn't know it was Rockstar Games. It was a weird audition because I didn't get the sides in advance. I guess they wanted to see how well you could memorize from a cold read,
Yeah.
So I did that, and I went in, and I had done mocap before, and they were interested about that, and because I really enjoy performance capture. I think it's fascinating.
Yeah.
And so one thing led to another, a couple of callbacks, and then by that point, I'm thinking, this is the next Red Dead, isn't it? And they're like, yeah.
But had you played Red Dead before? Did you know?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah,
because you're a gamer, or because
I was a huge gamer, and then when I graduated college, I stopped for ages. Like almost all of my 20s, I didn't play, and then at some point in my 30s, I'll never forget. I quit drinking for a couple of months, and I saved up enough money to buy a console.
Wow!
So I bought an Xbox 360. And I remember saying to the guy, well, what games should I get? I haven't played in ages. I like open world sandbox sort of stuff. And he said, okay. And he recommended Skyrim, and he recommended Red Dead Redemption. My wife is one of the few games my wife loves to watch.
Really?
Yeah, because it's, you're on horse and it's beautiful scenery. And, and I remember I finished Red Dead like a couple of weeks before the audition came. It was the most craziest circumstance.
But they would like you to say something in Spanish. Maybe I can what's one of Arthur's really like classic lines that he says, and we can do a little translation here.
Well, hey there, mister. What's that? I mean, hola señor.
Pues hola señor. Hey, you got it. Great.
That's hola, senor.
Hola, senor.
Hey.
That makes me think of Brad Pitt in Inglourious Bastards.
Yeah, wasn't that Italian, right?
Italian,
Yeah,
but he just does it in such
he doesn't
a
even
southern
try.
accent.
He
No,
doesn't even try to
no.
pull it off. He's just like, buongiorno.
I mean, it's definitely the character. I'd like to think that Brad Pitt would maybe try a little bit harder. And then, have you ever played Overwatch?
I did, yeah. Well, just once or twice. I haven't played it that much. I didn't play your character. I played the big gorilla.
Yeah, Winston.
Yeah. And actually, I think I did play you. No, I played Symmetra. I played Angeli's character.
Okay.
And then there's a dude with two guns, right? Aaron Black, is that Overwatch?
Reaper.
I played him because I like.
Cool. Well,
Yeah, that game is, man, it's one of those games like where as soon as you're on there with a 10-year-old, you're screwed, because they're too
you're
good.
screwed with a 6-year-old, man.
Right.
Yeah. Talk to me about the experience of like you've put all this time and effort into it. The game comes out and your Instagram starts blowing the F up. And your Instagram is crazy right now. Like, dude, you got a lot of followers.
Yeah, they're all awesome.
What was going on in your brain like? Or you're like, cool, man, just keep swiping.
I don't know. I don't have any objective reference outside of it. I mean, I had 5 years to prepare myself for.
You knew it was going to be huge.
I didn't. I hoped it would have been received as well as the previous one. But yeah, I just was like, here's hoping it's as good as the first one. And like, to be honest, I was like, people are going to hate the fact that I'm not John Marston because everybody loves John Marston, as they should.
Yeah.
And then the first trailer dropped. It wasn't exactly certain who the playable character was, but once the second trailer dropped, a lot of people were like, Arthur, who? Oh, man, fuck that. Understandably, people were disappointed. I was disappointed.
Yeah. No, you weren't. But what? So tell me more. Continue.
Thankfully, after the game came out, people seem to appreciate Arthur as much as they do John Marston.
They do. Some of people on the chat are saying he's the best character ever. That you guys are the OGs. And Jumpman2504 says, in my opinion, Arthur Morgan is better character than John Marston. So there you go.
Thank you. I love them both equally. You had you were a good few days, right? You probably had a week or two on the Red Dead, right?
I came and went a lot. That last Red
day here, day there, yeah. You were awesome too. You were awesome to work with. I remember when behind your back, people will go, "Yo, she's an Overwatch. She's an Overwatch." And that's when I first played Overwatch. I was like, "Oh, okay, I gotta check this out because Caroline is awesome."
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, so the way those sets work, it's like a bunch of people behind computers doing stuff, and then like people who are helping you with your equipment. And I had worked again on Max Payne and then on GTA. So when I came back to Red Dead, like there are a lot of the same faces, and you're like, "Hey man, what's up? How was the roller derby?" Like stuff that I remember about.
That's Michelle. Michelle was the roller derby, yeah.
So I remember then when, I'm putting on my stuff and then someone's like, "So what have you been up to the last 2 years?" Because I hadn't been in since GTA 4. And so then I was like, "Oh, I've worked on some other video games." But I forgot that I was dealing with people who make video. Like I wasn't thinking about the fact that they're also gamers. So I was like, "Yeah, I work on this thing called Overwatch." And they all turn.
Hold the phone.
And they kind of act cool and they're like, "Oh yeah, who?" And I'm like, "Oh, I voiced Sombra." And then all of a sudden the kid starts shaking as he's putting my helmet on or whatever. And it was so cute because, and then like I remember bringing like stuff in for them, like gifts afterwards.
Oh, I remember that too. You don't know. One fellow, what was his name? There was some kid, man. He talked about that for days afterwards, the stuff that you brought in for him. He was blown away and he was so grateful.
Yeah.
One thing I did not anticipate was so many people coming to me and saying how, how they were going through a rough patch or whatnot and how much the game helped them through that. And also like people who would be, teenagers or 20-somethings would be playing the game and it bonded them. It helped them reconnect with their father or their grandfather because, the old fella would be walking by and he'd say like, "Oh, it's a Western? They do Western video games, like Clint Eastwood, and then and all of a sudden, grandson and grandfather are bonding, and and all these stories that people would be kind enough to take the time and share with me. It just makes your heart just open up like that.
Does your character say you have a kind face, sir, the kind I'd like to punch?
Yeah, I think I remember that one. Yeah, yeah.
Do you mind saying that line as
that's
Arthur?
That's an antagonist line to an NPC. You can say, "You got a kind face, kind I'd like to punch."
You have a kind face, the kind I'd like to punch. You know that there's a cowboy in Overwatch?
Yeah. What's his name again?
His name is McCree, but they would like you to quote one of his lines. He just goes, "It's high noon," as Arthur, because that's funny.
It's high noon.
So good. Have you seen a jelly bean meme? Explain this to me, because I don't know what it is.
I just was one of the videos I do. I think this is actually my cameo intro video, and I just rise up into frame, and it was around Easter time, and I had some jelly beans, so I was just like saying, "Yeah, book me on Cameo," and I was eating jelly beans, and it kind of took off. People liked it, and people would give me jelly beans at the cons, to the point where I had to be like, I love jelly beans, but I also like whiskey. Have you played Red Dead? It takes like 50, 60 hours to go through the whole
that's
story.
What some people are saying. They're like, it's so long, we haven't finished. But they're all like, if you do side, thank you, Hidden Joshta. If you do side missions and stuff, there's like way more things that you can do. People play the game over and over again just because there's so much to,
People do
discover.
play it over and over.
They're still going off saying that they burst into tears when you said, "I'm afraid."
Yeah. Now that was a fantastic Latin actress, man. I forget her name, but she was amazing. She was in the first Red Dead too. I knew that scene was important because, when you're talking about a Western, there's a lot of toxic masculinity in Westerns, isn't there? Where the guy doesn't admit, that he's, they don't talk about their feelings or anything like that.
What are feelings?
But Arthur, there's moments in the game where Arthur does talk about his feelings, and when I saw those moments, I was like, "This is like new. This is new for Westerns."
Yeah.
This is an opportunity to be really uncovered ground.
Yeah.
And so when that moment came where the guy actually is coming face to face with his own mortality, and when he admits that he's afraid, I had never seen that in a Western before. I mean, the only thing that I could really compare it to is in Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood's Unforgiven. And that was the first Western I saw where people actually address the horror of taking someone's life. Because in most Westerns, people are dying left, right, and center, and they're like, "Oh yeah, whatever." But Unforgiven was one of the first Westerns that actually addressed what it's like to actually kill someone. And then respectively for Red Dead, when Arthur he doesn't talk about it with anyone because there's hardly anyone he can talk about it without it being a sign of weakness or
Yep.
But he does trust the nun enough to talk to her about it. Funny, what's the craziest thing a fan has asked you to do, Carolina?
The craziest thing, I mean, I have signed a boop and my signature on their arm, and then they come back with it tattooed on their arm the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't remember some of the crazy things. I haven't signed anything crazy. I think the craziest thing I've signed is like a cat or whatever. But
a cat?
A hat. Sorry.
Like a cat? Yeah. I mean, yeah. Or baby. Like they have their baby in a onesie, and then they want us to sign their belly or their back.
Oh, no, when I was in Dublin, someone brought their baby dressed up as Arthur, and that was awesome.
That's cool. I do like the little mini people dressed up as Sombra.
Oh yeah, you're all right.
So we're gonna wrap up here in 6 minutes. I would like to give you this platform to shout out some stuff that you're working on, or let people know the socials or what you're gonna be doing soon.
So, like I mentioned, I'm doing a lot of audiobooks at the moment. Very fortunate to be doing that. I've produced a few of them, and the most recent one I've produced is The Untamed by Max Brand. It's this awesome Western novel. It's written around the turn of the 20th century. Max Brand is a great author. It's It's the second one of his books that I've narrated, and I do it in a Western American accent. And it's a story of Whistling, what's his name? Whistling Max. And if you want to check it out, it's not on Audible yet. Probably will be shortly, but it's a lot cheaper because of it.
Oh,
And
cool.
it's on payhip.com/unbridled audio. And if you check out any of my social media, the link is in the bio.
Roger, thank you for coming on and spending your time with us.
Thanks for having me. Any excuse to talk to you.
Absolutely. Guys, keep booming and booping.